Hi everybody, I'm Mandy Gibson. I am the graphic designer for Army Love Network, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about PCS. And this is going to be PCS Part 1 because we have just finished up the first part of our PCS from Fort Lee, Virginia to Fort Drum, New York. And I'm going to just talk to you guys today about some things that I found helpful that work well for us, some advice, just some tips. Probably some funny stories that will hopefully make you laugh a little bit. But anyway, again, with any type of advice or tips, please know that this is just my personal opinion and just wanted to give you guys kind of my perspective, and hopefully this will help some of you out, or maybe give you some ideas on some other things that you can do to make your PCS a little bit smoother, or just work better for your family. Or if you think that this might work for one of your friends or your family members, send this their way as well. So hopefully this helps some of you out. So let's get started. Preparation. I cannot stress this enough. So what we usually like to do is have the Army move everything for us. We have tried doing the ditty moves and partial ditty moves, and for our family it just didn't work out well. So what we like to do is prep for the movers to come. And the first thing that we do is we get ready for either a garage sale, or we sell stuff on the like community sites on Facebook or on Craigslist or whatever the case may be. And we have, every time we move, made a little bit of money, a little bit of extra cash for spending money or bills or whatever the case is, but we've made a little bit of extra money on getting rid of stuff that we don't need. So the first thing that I would do is, if you have boxes that have not been opened or are still sitting full from your last PCS, go through and get rid of them. Okay, because if they are still sitting here, you more than likely haven't used them in the past couple of years. Probably not going to use them in the next couple of years either. So there are clearly some exceptions to that rule, such as, of course, like keepsake type items. Those might still be in a box. Obviously keep those. Or let's say that you are in a climate where you're originally from New York, and you have just moved you've been in Hawaii for the past couple of years. Well, you might have some coats and some cold weather gear that you don't want to get rid of, because let's face it, you're probably in the next 10 years going to be somewhere that's cold again, but you haven't been using it the last 3 or 4 years in Hawaii because some nice weather there, right? So those type of things obviously keep. But other things that are in there and you're not going to ever use again, get rid of them, whether you sell them, you donate them, whatever the case is. I'm laughing because I'm guilty of that too. Just recently did this. So just save yourself some time and don't move the junk again. The next thing would be what I like to do is to go kind of room by room. So I will start with one particular room and go through just mainly the closets, because that's where I tend to throw things when they're in play or I'm not using them right now, and then they're forgotten about. And those are the types of things that I like to go through. So clothes, if I haven't worn them in the last year and I don't plan to ever wear them again, I get rid of them, donate, sell them, whatever the case is. And so by doing that, I've actually been able to organize each of the rooms, and not only does that make us, money, obviously, because we're selling or helping somebody out by donating if you're giving it away, but then you're organizing the rooms. And I try to keep everything together, because then what happens is when the movers come in, then they're going to be packing up room by room, and for the majority of the time, all of your stuff's going to be together and it's going to be labeled properly. Now, it does get to the end and they're trying to just pack everything up, so you might have a couple odds and ends that don't necessarily belong together in the same box. But at least it's going to keep something that you might have thrown in the closet, like let's say a beach ball, from going in with your shoes or your towels and that sort of thing. And so I found that really helps. It actually makes the moving process go a little bit faster, because the movers do, for the most part, in the experiences that we've had, they try to go through and keep everything organized as well. So that will hopefully you're either going to give it to somebody who really needs it, you're going to make some money, and it's going to help you out in the long run because it's going to make sure that your stuff is where it needs to be when you go to unpack it at the next place. Occupy your children. Alright, we have a kid, and I know that it is not easy, and I know that it's not always possible. We have done moves with her and without her, but if at all possible, I highly recommend trying to find childcare, whether it's you're still signed up for hourly care at the CDC, or maybe you have a regular babysitter that could help you out for that particular day, or even a friend that can maybe set up a play date and take your child to a local park, or just have a play date at their house for a few hours, just to give you a little bit of time without them. Now, again, like I said, it's not always possible, but if it isn't, go ahead and make plans to keep your child occupied during the move. I know it's a little bit easier when they're smaller and you can put them in the pack and play, or even set aside a specific area for them and have toys, or if they like to do interactive games or shows or whatever it is. That's what I would do. Maybe set up an area outside for them just to kind of keep them out of their way. Because here's the thing, there's going to be a lot of stuff out that they're probably not supposed to be getting into. The movers are moving all around the place, trying to pack things up. And here's what I've learned. This child that you see right there, she is beautiful and she looks like an angel. And for the most part, she is. However, usually when we're really trying to get something done, she turns into what I like to call Aubrey-zilla. And right now, she's really into it's really cool to put things in and out of other things. So when you're packing stuff and she sees you putting stuff in the box, the next thing she wants to do is she wants to take it out. Which, when you're moving and you're trying to get stuff done, isn't very helpful. So just really making sure that you have a plan for your child, whether it's childcare or just making sure you're keeping them occupied and safe. That is really, really helpful to be prepared, because the worst thing that you're going to want to do is have the movers come and then you haven't really thought about what you're going to do with them, and they're just in the way, and that stresses you out. And you want to try to make this as stress-free of a process as possible, because what then turns into Aubrey-zilla then goes to Mommy-zilla. And my husband doesn't appreciate that. I'm sure everyone around me doesn't appreciate that. So just have a plan and make sure that you are keeping your children occupied during the move. Next thing I want to talk about is kind of some expectations for the movers. This will be kind of quick. I want to try to make this, I try to make every PCS as peaceful as possible and as stress-free as possible. Even though the movers that come are contracted out and they're not Army employees, they're held to an expectation. Their companies, they sign a contract, they're contracted out, and they still need to make sure that you're handling your things properly and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, we've been fortunate to not have any incidences that were too large that couldn't be fixed just by speaking up, but I have heard of a lot of different spouses and folks that are in the military. You just hear like people complaining and the horror stories about some of the movers. I am not saying in any way that they're not out there, because I'm pretty sure that there are, but please keep positive, because there are some great movers out there as well. But if you do run into any issues, make sure that you speak up. It's okay to say something to the movers if you feel like they might not be packing something properly, or if for some reason they're supposed to show up by 9 a.m. and they don't show up until noon, you need to contact transportation. Because there's a process and there is a set schedule and timeline, and if they need to be there by 9, then they need to be there by 9, and something needs to be said so that it can be corrected. And so I would try not to let those little things get you really upset. But if they do for some reason happen, just make sure that you speak up in a positive and a professional way, so that you can make sure that it's fixed and that it's right going forward. Okay, and the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is food for the movers and tipping. And I know that this is a topic that comes up a lot in conversation through just conversations I've had with friends, posts I've seen on different sites and blogs. And so I'm going to give you kind of our tips of what we like to do. And now, again, this isn't something that you have to do, and I don't think that this is ever something that is required. Nothing like that is required, but I do think it's nice to do some things for the movers, especially if they're doing an exceptional job and they're great people. We always like to have at least water available to them. Sometimes we'll have water and Gatorade. My husband likes to drink Gatorade, so we usually have it around our house. When we moved, our last PCS, when we moved from Texas to Virginia, we moved to Virginia during the week that they had a huge snowstorm, so it was freezing cold. So we offered coffee to them, but at least water to have something to drink. More than likely, most of these movers are going to have coolers. They're going to bring those things with them. But it's just a nice gesture, I feel like. And if they run out, they don't have the availability to run to the store. They're on the job, they're working, so they don't have the flexibility to do that. So we at least like to offer them something to drink. Food. Now, we haven't always offered food to our movers. Just actually recently, this past PCS, we did not because of just the time frame and how it worked out with our schedule. But if a lot of times, like, we're just trying to eat the food that's in the pantry so we don't waste anything. So, we might say, hey, here's some chips if you guys want some, because we're just eating peanut butter and jelly. And if that's the case, we're not going to offer them lunch or have lunch there for them. Now, there have been cases in past PCSs as well as this one that we've run out and we've gotten pizza because that's what we're eating. And so if that's the case, we usually offer, like, hey, would you guys like some pizza? And we get an extra pizza or something like that for them. But I wouldn't go out of your way to make sure that you have this gourmet, buffet set up for them or anything like that if you don't feel like it's necessary. Or if you feel like they're doing a really good job and you want to do something for them, like, hey, I'm going to go get you guys some subs because you've been working really hard today. That's fine. But I definitely don't think that food is an expectation at all. And then as far as tipping, this has also been a huge, topic that I've witnessed many people discuss. We like to tip. They work hard a lot of the times, and a lot of the times that we've moved, it's been in weather that has been outrageous, like one extreme to the other. And for the most part, the movers that we've had are making sure that they're doing an exceptional job and doing it right and timely to probably not only help them, but to help us as well. And so we like to tip usually per person. The last couple times we've tipped anywhere from $20 to $30 per person a day. Now, we've had a couple different situations. So in previous PCSs, we have had packers who come, and then there are separate people who come and they take the boxes and they load it into the truck. And if that's the case, then we usually tip about $20 a person that comes, especially if they're there for a full day. Now, this most recent PCS, the one that we're dealing with right now, moving from Virginia to Fort Drum, the same people that came and they packed up all of our stuff in boxes were the same ones that took the boxes and moved it and loaded it onto the truck. And so we took them a little bit more because they were doing a little bit more work. And so I think that it is good to tip, but it's up to your discretion as far as how much, based off of how they're doing and if they've been doing a great job and how hard they're working and for how long they're there. If they're only there a half day, you might only tip them $10 rather than if you were planning on to tip them $20 for the whole day. So, but don't feel obligated to do so. If you have people there that are just awful and you've had to call and do all of this stuff, then you might look at it at a lesser value, if anything at all. But I think for the most part, those are pretty rare instances. And for the most part, I do think that it would be nice to tip them something because they are doing a lot. They're working hard to make sure that your things are, taken care of. And so I would say tip your movers. Food, not a necessity, but at least offer them some water. All right, and that's all I have for PCS Part 1. Stay tuned. We are going to be heading out to Jamaica for a week during our PCS time while my husband's taking leave, and we're going to be renewing our vows. We're really excited about that. We're actually getting ready to leave in 2 days, so I cannot wait. So I'm going to be completely off the grid during that time, and then once we come back, we'll take a little bit of time to visit some family, and then we are headed to Fort Drum. So in the next couple of weeks, probably within at least the next month or so, I'm going to be having PCS Part 2, and I will share with you guys all of the information and any tips and advice that I have on that last part of the PCS and the moving to your new base and getting acclimated and just reaching out to people and networking, and not only just with the movers, but just getting used to a new post and a new area in general. So stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoyed it today. Sorry it was a little bit lengthy, but hopefully you got some good information that you can either use or you can share with some of your friends or your family, or maybe it was just entertaining. I don't know. But hopefully you guys had a nice time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.